Hey everybody, this is Evan Rogers. We are going to continue going on with this. It's actually about censoring social media, but it's kind of about that girl, I forget her name, I should have looked it up before I made the video, who committed suicide, the pro wrestler. So anyway, we have セーファーインタネット協会は6月の終わりに SNS に悪口を書かれて悩んでる人がウェブサイトで相談できるようにしました。That is one heck of a sentence. And we have a passive form in it, the kakarete thing in there. So we're going to see some interesting usage of the passive. Just this one time here, it's not so crazy, but it gets interesting later. So, okay, so Safer Internet Kyokai. I looked them up. They are called the Safer Internet Association. And indeed, Kyokai means association or an association of people. Japanese websites always seem like they were generated, I don't know, something about that just seems weird. Anyway, whenever I go to a Japanese website, it always looks kind of like Scooby-Dooby. I guess the Japanese version looks a little bit better, but it's taking 9 years to upload, and then they always have a weird like frog guy. Okay, so anyway, this is, I'm pretty sure, the website for that group, and you can go to the English thing, saferinternet.or.jp. Okay, anyway, sorry. セーファーインターネット協会は6月の終わりに Okay, so at the end of what is that, June? Towards the end of June. So notice the ni particle saying is giving us the point at which an action occurs. 6月の終わり. At the end of the 6th month, which is June, Safer Internet Association did a whole bunch of stuff at the end of June. SNS に悪口を書かれて悩んでる人. Okay, this is all modifying hito. Okay, so we have people who are worrying or have been worried or whatever 悩んでる might and actually translate to, who are worrying over, who are dealing with, who are troubled. 悩んでる. So they're troubled with something. Okay, so SNS に悪口を書かれて悩んでる人. This is an interesting use of the passive. Okay, so sorry, you should already know what's going on here. SNS に悪口を書く. So this is written on SNS. So insults that were written on social media sites. Okay. I want to talk about how 悩んでる is maybe not even necessary. This may not even be necessary because kakareru, while it is the passive and thus it means the insults that were written on the SNS, if you notice, the subject of kakareru should be warakuchi. It should be warakuchi ga kakarete. However, if you notice, it's warakuchi o kakareta. Right? So that's very fascinating. That's an o particle because that doesn't make sense. In English, the passive works like I ate a cheeseburger. The passive would be the cheeseburger ate me, right? The thing that got eaten, or sorry. The cheeseburger was eaten by me. I ate the cheeseburger, right? I'm the subject, and from your perspective, I'm the subject. The cheeseburger is what was verbed. And then when we make a passive, we kind of flip that. The cheeseburger was eaten by me, right? That's how the passive works. We take the direct object and we switch it with the subject. Well, not switch it, but the direct object becomes the subject. But here, the watakuchi is what was written, and yet it still gets the O particle. Now, Evan, you might be asking, doesn't this blow away your O particle as a direct object thing and you have to rethink everything you've been teaching us? No. It doesn't. The passive, if you've watched my passive video, links below. The passive verb actually has at least 3 usage. And one of them is exactly what I said. When you take the direct object and you flip it to the subject, that's one of the 3 usages of the passive verb. The other one is when you're doing an honorific. For those of you who are following me on Gab, which is maybe like 0.1% of you, I've been translating the Bible. I'm starting with Genesis. And you're going to see whenever they talk, well, not whenever, but frequently when they talk about God doing something, they use the passive form. And it doesn't make any sense that, and if you read the Kojiki or the Nihon Shoki, which is where they put all the myths of the Shinto religion, in them. All of the gods will use passive verbs for their actions. So that's very interesting. That's one of the other usages. And the third stranger use that we are not used to as English speakers, we're not used to the honorific one at all, but at least we can deal with that. We just treat it like an active verb and then say it's honorific. The third one is the trickiest. It's when the subject is generally negatively affected by the action that took place. When they're negatively affected, it's almost always negatively affected by the action, we will use the passive. So the reason why it's warukuchi o kakareta, or kakarete, sorry, and then it's nayanderu hito, it's because this hito is the person who's being negatively affected. After all, we have the nayanderu. They're being negatively affected by the writing of the warukuchis. So somebody else is writing the warukuchi, and then the hito here is being negatively affected by it. So this doesn't necessarily translate to the insults were written and the people are bothered by them. It's actually much more the idea of somebody else wrote these negative things and it negatively affected these people, and then the people are worried about them. So we almost have to do like two whole sentences to encompass this passive. So this should say something like people who are bothered by and are negatively affected by, which is redundant, somebody else's writing of these insults, right? The warukuchi is still the direct object, and the subject of this warukuchi o kaku is somebody else, almost assuredly. Somebody else is kakuing, somebody else is writing the warukuchis, and we have the passive here because the people, this hito, the subject hito right here, if I can highlight it, the hito here is being negatively affected by that writing, and thus it's passive. Okay? Okay. Watch that passive video. Here we go. Okay, so Seifa Internet Kyokai is the group that at the end of June did something. What did they do? They sodan dekiru you ni shimashita. Now, we're not going to talk about that right now because we just got done talking about this subject, but I want you to be aware that this is marking when they did this and not when any of this stuff happened. Okay, so this Rokugatsu no Owari ni is applying to, actually, it's the Dekiru yo ni shimashita. We'll talk about it later. But this SNS ni warukuchi o kakarete nayanderu hito ga is not really any part of this time limit. So I just want to make that point. Okay, so these people who are negatively affected and are bothered by insults online, ga, website today on a website, sodan dekiru, can consult, can discuss, yoni shimashita. And then this so this is interesting. This dekiru is for the sodan dekiru is for the hitos, the hito ga sodan dekiru. But then the yoni shimashita, that's for the Seifa Internet Kyokai. Okay? So the Seifa Internet Kyokai, they blah 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 yoni shimashita. Sorry, I missed the yo. The yoni shimashita. They made it so that they could do it. So when we have a verb yoni suru, it means make something happen. So they made it so that people can discuss. So the Seifa Internet Association made it so that people can talk on a website. What kind of people are we talking about? We're talking about people who who are negatively affected by someone else writing negative stuff on social media and they're bothered by it. Well, those people can talk and discuss things on a website. And this group of people made that able to happen. The yoni shimashita. Okay, I keep missing that yoni shimashita. That's what's happening. This is a very detailed sentence, and this is what's going on. That my big reason is we've seen this yoni suru numerous times, but the issue is that we haven't seen these passives used in this way. We don't see a lot of passives, and this is the reason why it's passive. One more time is because this person is negatively affected by somebody else writing it. Okay. 始めてから2週間ぐらいで280件の相談がありました。Alright, so there have been, so the X がありました, there were discussions discussions existed. There were discussions. What kind of discussions? 280件 no sodan. There were 280 incidents of discussions. So cases. There were 280 cases of discussions. ぐらいで、2週間ぐらいで. So it says 始めてから from the beginning 2週間ぐらいで. So from the beginning and within about 2 weeks from the beginning. Within about 2 weeks from the beginning, 始めてから. So from starting, we could translate this as like from starting, in about 2 weeks, within about 2 weeks, via about 2 weeks, there were about 280 situations or incidents, whatever. Okay, this de, you might be wondering why there's a de with arimasu. This isn't the place of location, so that rule, this should not be a ni. Remember, ni after a time period tells us at what point it happened, and this de is much more the idea of within a time period. So that's what the de is doing there. So just so you're aware, this de is much more the idea of the des is copula de. Like this is almost the te form of da. Okay, cool, great. I will see you in the next video. Peace out. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you like, subscribe, and share this video to everybody you know and yell at them repeatedly until they subscribe as well. If you'd like to support me even more, head on over to patreon.com, where for just $1 a month, 3 cents a day, that's it, it's darn near free, you can help me financially keep these videos coming. And as a reward for your Patreon donations, you get access to all of the miscellaneous things that I produce to help out my own students who I teach in person, and also just things that I make for myself. And if you want a little bit more bang for your buck, head on over to Teespring, where you can get lots of fun clothing, mugs, stickers, cell phone cases, all that I've designed. More designs to come. I hope you have yourself a happy dappy day. Peace out.